sweet YouTube friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome and thank you for clicking on this thumbnail. Today's video is very different than what I usually do, but only because I've gotten so many requests to make a full Thanksgiving dinner, and since you asked, here it is. We are making turkey and side dishes, some vegetarian options, and a coconut chocolate pecan pie for dessert. I really hope this video helps you, gives you some inspiration, and gets you excited to cook for Thanksgiving. I also want to mention that aside from washing and brining the turkey, I was able to cook these dishes in one day, so about 5.5 hours while the turkey was baking and then resting before carving. Thank you again for being here, and let's get started. I'm just going to take this lemon and squeeze it all over the turkey and rub it. And I'm just going to put it inside the cavity. Just give them a good scrub. Bath time. Make sure you get everything out. So you'll find inside the cavity the neck and I think another piece of maybe extra fat that comes off the front, and then in the back is where you'll find the gizzards, and they'll come like this in a bag. I'm just gonna let them sit here while I get the brine ready. Okay, to get the brine ready, I'm going to start by slicing up 2 oranges and 2 lemons to put in the water. And I've got a pot of water that I'm bringing up to a boil. I'm just going to go ahead and put these in the water. It's going to start smelling amazing really soon. Okay, now that the water is starting to come up to a boil and I can smell the orange and the lemon, I'm going to take 2/3 cup and I'm going to just pour some coarse kosher salt in there and let that kind of melt down. And then I have peppercorns. I'm just going to throw in a handful of those like that. And I also have whole cloves. I'm going to take a few like that. Remember, the turkey is big, so you can spice it, salt it, put everything in it, and it will be okay because it's big and it has bone in it, and it will just absorb all of that flavor and it will be fine. And now I'm going to add cinnamon. And so the things that I'm putting in here, I don't really have an actual recipe for. This is just something I learned at home with my mom. This is how she would brine the turkey. And so that's just always how I continue to do it. And I'm going to take some bay leaves and just a few of those, probably the rest of this jar. And I'm going to get brown sugar. And I'm going to take 1/2 cup. Put all of this yummy brown sugar in here. So we've got a salty flavor from the salt. We've got sweetness from the brown sugar. We have all of the flavors of the spices. Now we need vinegar for some sour part of it, and I'm probably going to pour a cup. And then I'm going to grab some fresh herbs. So I'm going to go ahead and add some parsley, rosemary, and thyme into here, and just kind of steep it, let all the flavors come together, make sure the sugar is melted. It smells so good. It smells like either like a broth, like the start of a really yummy drink. Okay, so now that it is about to come up to a boil, I'm just going to turn it off and let all the flavors steep together. And once it's cooled down, we're going to put our turkey in our bucket that I've lined. After this cools down, we're going to go ahead and put our turkey and our brine in this bucket. I've lined it twice with it's actually turkey briner liners that I found on Amazon. And I've lined it twice just in case because I don't want any accidents. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give this a little bit to cool off, and then we'll go ahead and put our turkey in and I'll show you how I fill it up. Okay, so I have my bucket here that I've lined. I'm gonna go ahead and put the turkey in here. Okay, so then I'm gonna take my brine with all of the herbs and the spices and the citrus, the apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, salt, everything. We're just gonna pour it in to cover. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more water just to make sure the turkey is totally submerged. And I'm just adding really cold water. And now I'm gonna take some press and seal. You can use anything to cover it up. I'm just gonna use press and seal to make sure it's sealed tight, and that way I can move it into the refrigerator. So it is almost 9:30. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the fridge. He can be there overnight. It's best to do this 12 to 16 hours. You can go up to 18 hours. So we'll take him out in the morning, rinse him, dry him off. Then we're gonna start seasoning him and getting him ready to be baked. So for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my best to take this out to the garage. And it's really heavy.
Walk under the moonlight and kiss under the stars. It's gonna be like we never were apart. Yes, I'm on my way. This time
It's the next morning and I'm still in my PJs, and the first thing I'm going to do is rinse off the turkey, rinse out all of that brine, and make sure I dry the turkey really well. Over the years, I've found that the best way to keep the turkey really juicy and the skin crispy is to baste it in seasoned butter. I've got 2 sticks of room temperature butter, salt, pepper, and thyme leaves that I'm making sure to mix really well. Then I'm going to lather both inside and the outside of the turkey with the butter. And then when the turkey cooks, this gets mixed in with the juice the turkey renders, and as you baste it, the skin gets nice and crispy and the flavor is so good. I think putting it under the skin also makes a big difference in flavor. I also like to take whole sage leaves and place those under the skin. The sage flavor renders right into the meat as it slowly bakes, and it's just delicious. And it's also really pretty in the end because you can see the sage leaves on the turkey. If you have any other great tips for a really delicious turkey on Thanksgiving, please leave them in the comments because I would love to hear all about them. So for some extra flavor for the juices that fall to the bottom of the pan, and then which is what I end up making my gravy with, I like to put carrots, onion, and lemon. So I'm going to put the carrots at the very bottom of the pan, lemon inside the cavity, the onion inside the cavity, and an entire bunch of different herbs. I have parsley, thyme, rosemary, and sage. Those are all going to go inside, and the carrots are going to go underneath. And it makes a really delicious broth, and in the end, a really yummy gravy too. Now I'm going to take a really long piece of cotton kitchen twine, and I'm going to first wrap the legs closed. That way they stay close together when they're baking. Go underneath the back end, and then wrap the twine around the front where the neck would be, underneath the breasts. If you go higher up, like up over on top of the breasts, when you're done baking, you'll have a line there. after you remove the twine, so I like to tuck it underneath as best as I can, and this way the turkey just stays close together and cooks more evenly, and it just looks prettier too when it's done. And then I'm going to add about 2 cups of chicken broth underneath to help create the broth that I'm going to end up using to make the turkey gravy. And while it's baking, if I notice that the liquid is evaporating too much, I'll just add some more broth in there. I had preheated the oven to 400 degrees, and when I put the turkey in, I lower it down to 325. It's going to cook about 4.5 hours. At about 4 hours and 15 minutes, I'll start checking it for time to make sure that it is cooked using a meat thermometer. But this turkey took 4.5 hours at 325, and it is 14 pounds. One of my favorite side dishes are roasted carrots with garlic, rosemary, and thyme. It's very simple and very delicious. I found these organic multicolored carrots that I thought were just so cute. I'm going to chop them up at an angle, and I'm going to mix them up with yummy herbs, olive oil, garlic, and then roast them at 400 degrees. They only take about 25 minutes, and I'll probably put them in after the turkey comes out and while it's resting. This is a great vegetable side dish. It tastes very fall-like because of the herbs, and the colors of the carrots I think are just beautiful. This may have been my favorite side dish on the entire table. I really would love to know what your favorite side dish is, and if you have a special vegetable side dish, please leave them in the comments because I would love to hear all about them. And now for a pecan pie, but with a little bit of a twist. We're going to make a coconut chocolate pecan pie, and I used a 9-inch frozen pie crust for that. I have 1 stick melted butter, half a cup of chopped pecans, vanilla, coconut flakes, you need 1/3 of a cup, 3 eggs, and 1/2 cups of sugar, and the juice of 2 lemons. First, squeeze your lemons into the melted butter. Go ahead and crack your 3 eggs into that same mixture and pour your 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract in there and whisk it all together. And then you're going to slowly pour in your sugar and keep mixing until it's fully dissolved. Fold in your pecans, your sweetened coconut flakes, and your 1/2 cup of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. And then you take all of that and pour it into your pie crust. You bake at 350 for about 45 minutes until it's set in the middle.
Okay, so we're at the point point now where the turkey's been in the oven for about 1 hour, and we've cut up the carrots and prepped those. They are just set aside, and I'll put those in the oven once I get the turkey out. They only need about 40 minutes in the oven. In the meantime, the turkey will be resting at room temperature. At that time, we'll also put in our sweet potatoes, and I'm going to be cutting up the potatoes for mashed potatoes. And I'm also probably going to get the corn all set up so that that can be ready to go too. Mostly cooked in the last hour, so I'm not too worried about that. Once you get the turkey in, everything else you can just kind of go about, because it gives you a good 4 to 5 hours to kind of take care of all the other things. You can also prep a lot of this the night before. The only thing I really prep is the turkey, and then I also make sure that the house is clean, because that way that's one less thing for me to deal with while I'm cooking. So those are things I like to do the night before. Spinach pies are probably my favorite appetizer. I love them as a quick lunch or a snack, and along as a side dish for dinner. My mom makes these all the time, and they're one of my favorite things that she makes ever. So I think I'm going to show you that recipe that you can have as a side dish. It's a great vegetarian option, and it's also a healthy snack, and it's delicious to just have on hand whenever. That's what we're going to do next. So let's go ahead and get started making those spinach pies.
You will need 1 packet of instant yeast, 1 cup of warm water, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Mix all of that together and give it a few minutes until it proofs. You'll know when it proofs because there will be bubbles on top, and it will start smelling like yeast or kind of like bread. In the meantime, mix together 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 cup of olive oil, and knead it together until it forms a soft ball. Take that out and place it into an oiled bowl. Cover with a towel and put in a warm area. The dough should double in size in about an hour. For the spinach pie filling, you need 1 packet of frozen chopped spinach that is defrosted and all the water has been squeezed out until it's completely dry. You also need pomegranate molasses. If you don't have that or you can't find it, just use a thick balsamic vinegar. You also need pomegranate seeds, 1/4 of an onion diced finely, and sumac spice, which is just a very tangy spice. You can find that at Middle Eastern grocery stores or online. I'll have a link to it for you below. Add salt and pepper and mix it all together. I think I also forgot to mention that for the filling, you will also need 1/4 cup of chopped walnuts.
Okay, so you can see that my dough has more than doubled in size, so we're gonna go ahead and get started rolling out the dough for the spinach pies. I'll show you how to do that. So first thing is to just kind of deflate the dough a little bit. It's so soft. So we're just going to take, actually let's take a bigger piece so we can roll it out. We'll take about half of the dough. Looks like this. Take some flour, and I've clean this surface, of course.
When you're making your little pies, just make sure that the ends are sealed tightly. I should have pressed harder because they did open up a little while baking, which is fine, but they are prettier if they stay closed. My mom recommended using egg water on the edges to make sure they stay sealed. You'll bake these at 350 for 15 to 20 minutes until lightly browned, and I hope you like them.
I have a baking pan with parchment paper on top. I'm just going to put that there and keep making more. For our stuffing, we're going to be going with the herb seasoned classic stuffing from Pepperidge Farm. This one has been in my family for years. It's the stuffing I'm used to, nothing over the top, pretty basic, and I really love it during Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be making that, and you're going to need 3 celery stalks, 1 small onion diced, 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 cups of chicken broth, and that's pretty much it. Now that it's up to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle over it my stuffing mix. And turn off the heat. Covered. And now I'm going to let it sit covered. And after a few minutes, just fluff it with the fork and it's ready to serve.
Of all the soups I make, this is my husband's favorite, so I make sure to include it on Thanksgiving. Take 1 medium onion and chop it very finely. Melt 1 stick of butter and saute your onions until very soft. Add your mushrooms and thyme. I just add the entire thyme stick and fish them out at the end. Add salt and pepper and let the juices of the mushrooms simmer down and cook until lightly browned for extra flavor. Also add your mushroom consomme. I find this at all the grocery stores around me, but I also checked Walmart and I've seen it there too. Once the mushrooms have cooked down well, add 1/4 to 1/2 cup of flour and cook it until it doesn't smell like flour anymore. It's about 3 minutes or so. Once it is simmered down, pour your water or chicken broth over it. I added a carton of chicken broth and 4 cups of water. Let that come to a boil and let it simmer for about 20 minutes.
Okay, I don't think that the camera was on when I did it, but I added an entire carton of chicken broth. And if you are vegetarian, you can just add water to that mushroom base that we put or use vegetable stock. And then I also added 4 cups of water, and we're just going to bring this up to a boil and then turn it down to simmer for about 20 minutes.
I like to use an immersion blender for this. I leave some pieces of mushroom intact and just blend the soup. After it's blended, add about 1 cup or more to your liking of half and half. Re-season with salt and pepper and you're done. I would love to know if you serve soup on Thanksgiving, and if you do, what kind. Leave a comment below. So it's been 4.5 hours and I'm just checking the turkey to make sure it's done, and it has reached the right temperature, so I'm taking that out and I'm adding in my sweet potatoes, my spinach pies, and the carrots so they can roast while the turkey is resting. turkey gravy, all I do is I take 1/4 cup of butter, 1/4 cup of flour, and cook that down. Then I go ahead and take all the turkey drippings and pour that on top and whisk it until smooth. I add extra salt and pepper if needed, and a little bit of water to create more gravy. And that's pretty much it. It's very simple. I just bring that up to a boil so it can thicken, and that's my turkey gravy. If you have a really yummy recipe or a special way that you prepare yours, I would love to hear about it. So leave a comment below and let me know.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know?
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope that this gave you some inspiration or some ideas for your Thanksgiving dinner. If you have any great recipes, leave them in the comments below. I would love to know all about it. If you're new here, I hope that you choose to subscribe. And guys, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel so much. If there are other videos you would like to see or more Thanksgiving type videos like a table setting, leave that in the comment section below too. And I'll see you all in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.
Together, if I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving